Yeah, and it is, again, as you said, from the Paris Review, conversations to the tune of Air-Raid Sirens, and Ilya Kaminsky introduced it and put it together.
Thank you. And thank you so much, Frank, for putting it together. This event is really wonderful. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
This is from Anna Michalevskaya. Коти кричать вночі, намагаючись перекричати сигнали повітряної тривоги. Я знаходжу красу в дивних речах, графіті на облуплених стінах, розкопані для ремонту вулиці. Я жадібно оглядаю все. Не знаю, чи побачу колись ту чи іншу вулицю. Я бачу фотографії Харкова у руїнах, фотографії розбомбованого Києва. Надто швидко все змінюється. Якщо ви хочете щось зробити, ви повинні зробити це прямо зараз. Anna Michalevskaya. The cats are screaming in the night, trying to outscream the air raid sirens. I find beauty in strange things. Graffiti on peeling walls, a street dug up for repairs. I look about greedily. I don't know if I will ever see this or that street ever again. I see photos of Kharkiv in ruins, photos of a bombed out Kyiv. Everything is changing too fast. If you want to do something, you need to do it right now. Doing something, anything, is medicine at the moment. When I manage to help someone, I can forget about the war. I think many people have discovered this. Pre-war life already seems unreal and far away. There's so much in it. I didn't appreciate it. Always rushing, searching for new projects, not enough time for basic talk. Now there's so much talk, but at a distance. Cruelly, this situation brings us back to each other. Thank you.
Vladislava Ilinskaya. After a week spent in a stupor, I walked out into Odessa streets to see anti-tank fortifications, barricades made of sandbags blocking the avenues, boutiques and restaurants boarded up, people with guns on the street. I'm writing this in a taxi. We were just stopped at a checkpoint. We were searched. It's frightening how quickly I've gotten used to this life. The most terrifying thing is the silence. When you know that the whole country is boiling in a bloody broth. Our people are amazing. Never before have I seen such solidarity and care among neighbors. A strange feeling, as if I haven't lived before this moment, as if some kind of shell has burst, a carapace that prevented me from breathing in deeply. I don't know what I did before the war. I've never been so aware of being needed, of being involved in reality.
Hi, this is a poetic reflection from Eugene Demonok. I have been dividing my time between Prague and Odessa for many years. But when this war started, my family was on a trip to New York. For a few days before our flight to Prague, we did not venture out of our hotel room other than to attend protests. We spent our entire time scrolling through the news and calling our friends and family. Back in Prague, we found we could be of more use. The Czech Republic has already received more than 200,000 Ukrainian refugees. I spend my days between the Refugee Integration Center, the train station, and a community residence for 72 people that my friends are building at their own expense. I cannot write anything. I don't have the stamina, desire, or time for it now. For many days, I have been grinding my way through a piece of the correspondence between Henry Miller and David Berlik. I would love to publish a few letters from Miller in Ukrainian translation for the first time. And yet my mornings start with calls and letters asking for help. My days are spent in volunteer work. And by the time I am free, it is already late into the night.
Elena Andreychikova. And you? Every morning starts with this question. I'm asked, and I ask. Family asks, friends ask, colleagues, acquaintances, my lines of defense. I still can't understand how it can be. War in Ukraine? Attacked by Russia? They're bombing our cities? Just days before the war began, I finished my latest novel. The protagonist dreams about war, dreams impacted by stories of her grandmother, who was a prisoner in the Salaspils camp. I haven't found the strength to reread the novel yet. I still feel disgusted. One day I will find the courage to rewrite it. I will speak as a witness to how scary it is when air raid sirens wail in the early morning on an ordinary Thursday. How I kept smiling while packing frantically, trying to signal to my son that I was not worried. How a warehouse exploded and burned before our eyes, less than 200 feet away. How we spent a night surrounded by jam jars in a root cellar in Odessa. How my 3-year-old nephew, who had just arrived from Kharkiv, shuddered, stuttered, and cried. How unwilling I was to decide whether I should stay with my husband or drive the kids away from all of this. How we left Odessa at night, 8 cars, women and children, cats and dogs. Some of us were driving for the first time ever. We were stopped at a checkpoint. No cars were allowed to pass through the night. One woman suddenly exclaimed, "I know the password. My husband wrote it down for me before he went to war." We fight our own information war. We wake up every morning and hope that it's all over, that we can live, plan, write novels again. But for now, I just message everyone. And you? How are you? Hearing an answer is the only thing that matters.
Vitya Brevis. War entered my life in Lviv. I was there on vacation. An urge to go home. I got on a train back. I'm still not quite sure why I went toward Odessa, where most people were leaving our city for Lviv or to go farther west abroad to safety. I struggled to get through the crowd at the station in Lviv. People were waiting for trains to western border, and trains were 5 hours, 7 hours late. Some folks were sleeping on their suitcases, and kids were crying, just like they do in movies about war. Today is March 18th, 11th, the 16th day. The war of bullets and bombs has not started full swing in Odessa yet, but you're going to read this later, so you'll know more than I do. I envy you. In the beginning, I taped my windows crisscross so that even if something exploded nearby, the blast wave wouldn't leave my entire apartment covered in shards of glass. I moved a large dresser in front of the window for better protection. As days went by, I got used to being afraid. So I moved the dresser back to the wall and peeled the tape off. Our cities get bombed. Missiles explode and Russian soldiers walk down the streets and sometimes shoot the locals for entertainment. Those who are leaving Odessa now see that other side of war, crying children, 30 hours of waiting at the Moldovan border, not knowing where to live, where to shower, or when to return home. I live on the 21st floor. There's no one left around here. Of 8 apartments, only one still has inhabitants. My dog, my cat, and me. When I hear the sirens wailing, I walk out on the balcony to see if missiles are coming.
So yeah, Sasha, do you have a second, one more story for us?
Yeah, so we'll do another round. So we have a second set of stories. So Cynthia can start and then we'll do another round and then we'll have time to talk. Yeah. Go ahead, Cynthia.
Vladislav Kitik. A seagull, all fluffed up, sits at the edge of the pier, chest against the wind. A sharp explosion over the bay interrupts its contemplation of the gray water, and it spreads its wings. Seagulls don't know what war is, but after 16 days, the gulls have managed to overcome their confusion and learn not to fly too far when the sky shakes with landmine explosions or cannon fire, not to hide when they hear the howl of sirens. The seagulls fly over Odessa streets, which are usually crowded and noisy. A rare pedestrian leaves footprints on the untouched snow. In silence, the famous Potemkin stairs climb the slope, buried in bags filled with sand. They hide the monument to the city's founder, Odessa's bronze soul, from the malice of artillery. But the seagulls love the sand. The street bristles with anti-tank devices. Will they be able to protect us against modern missiles? Of course not. But there is something hoodlumish, cocky in these 6-pointed crosses known as hedgehogs. Such hedgehogs stood here in 1941, and now time has jumped off the footboard of the past. The gull circles over the houses and flies once again to the sea.
Taya Neidenko. On the first day of the war, people in Kharkiv, Kiev, and Lviv, first among them Russian-speaking and bilingual people, started speaking Ukrainian en masse. Some have already managed to surrender and transition back to their customary Russian. At first with a disclaimer, in order to be understood by all Russian enemies, and then silently, without rationalization. When, hurriedly, between air raids, you try to articulate your thoughts and feelings, you involuntarily switch back to the language you've been accustomed to thinking in since childhood. Others keep their oath. Not one more word in Russian. And I think they will remain strictly Ukrainian speakers even after the war. The Russian invasion showed what a source of strife regular words can be. Some fearmongers, including those from other countries, accused me of naivete. After the war, they could ban speaking Russian in Ukraine. But I remind them, saying what you think in Russian language is banned only in Putin's Russia.
Gana Kostenko. A few days ago, I decided to listen to Rachmaninoff's Second Concerto. I wanted to clutch it in my hands like a brand so that I wouldn't slip into the sticky mud of hostility toward everything Russian. Rachmaninoff is innocent. He has nothing to do with Putin's crimes, just as Goethe was innocent of Hitler's madness. Yesterday, during an air raid, I hid in the bathroom and I understood with clarity that I don't want to sink into hate. I have made a choice for myself and I'm trying to stick to it. Hate is the language of my enemies. It is their source of strength. How else to explain the bombardments of kindergartens, maternity wards, hospitals? I come back to Heine, who said that every new epoch needs a new kind of a reader, needs new sets of eyes.
Nail Muratov. Has Odessa changed in these first few days of war? Yes. No. There are lines of people at the gas stations so long that they're blocking traffic on the streets. Lines in stores of people sweeping everything from the shelves: cereals, sugar, salt, matches. This blizzard of movement pulling the city from its usual calm. This human anthill. Checkpoints have sprung up, but cars still weave through the streets, fewer now. Passerby go about their business, supermarkets and some small stalls and kiosks are open. On Monday, classes are starting in schools and universities, but no one knows what will happen next. In times of war, writing goes badly. What can you do? Your mind refuses to make sense of what's happening. Some people have left, and those who remain have banded together. My 92-year-old mother returned a couple of days ago from the store, and in her bag were several cans of preserves given to her by women she didn't know.
A city that is preparing its defense does not make the best impression. You can't simply pass through the streets of the city center. Everywhere there are tank traps, sandbags, wire gauze. Several times a day, there are air raid alarms, and some neighborhoods have no bomb shelters. I bring my 85-year-old mom to the bathroom, the only place in her home where it's possible to find some kind of shelter. Through all this, Odessites are not losing their sense of humor. Across the city walls, there are giant banners advising Russian soldiers to do as Ukrainians on nearby Snake Island had famously suggested a Russian warship should. In wartime, profanity is forgivable. It relieves stress. People are volunteering everywhere, assembling sandbags on the seashore. You're an Odessa, the song goes. And that means that neither grief nor misfortune is scary for you. I've written several poems about the war. A poet should be a vibrating string that responds to everything happening around us. I am following what my poet friends are writing, and the level of their poetry has risen. The language has become very precise and strong. There are no words nor justifications for what the Russian army is doing in Ukraine, in Kharkiv, in Kiev, in Mariupol, in other cities. Still, the task of poetry is to find words, even when they're none. And that was from Anna Struminskaya.
Thank you all so very much. And Sasha, you are Ukrainian, working here in New York as an actor. How does it all feel to you? What's happening in your country?
It doesn't feel like it's real. I still hope to wake up from this horrible nightmare that my country is in. It doesn't feel like it's too real and unreal at the same time. It's just, it breaks my heart. It's the only thing that I'm thinking about every day. And it's really difficult to think about anything else. That's why I've been focusing everything on helping in any way I can, on fundraising, on spreading the word, on really doing anything I can to help. And yeah, my soul, I am here physically, but my heart is there and my soul is there. So I just hope it ends soon so people are not suffering anymore and dying.
Sure, this is it's a hard time, and we can really hear and feel, you know, what's going through your mind. And so thank you for sharing. Thank you for putting this reading together. Maybe all the participants, Tjaša, Alex, Cynthia, Tony, tell us a little bit about who you are and how. Tjaša.
Sure. Hi, I'm Tjaša. I'm an actor, playwright, and I'm a founder of a theater company, Transforma Theater, that's dedicated to creating interactive theatrical experiences, the convergence of science, consciousness, and ritual. And I'm originally Slovenian, but just so happy to be invited to participate with this amazing group of people and to give a spotlight on these gorgeous and traumatic and traumatized voices from Ukraine. I think that what really struck me, also Frank, thank you so much for organizing this.
Sure.
Bombing a theater is such a huge gesture. Once you start bombing theater, you're bombing culture, you're trying to get the word out. So one of the maybe most hard-hitting pieces from tonight for me was Alex actually read it by Taya about how people first vigorously started talking Ukrainian, not giving up their word. And then slowly the Russians started creeping back in for utility, and who knows where this is going. But I feel like our role here and our job is to sort of like promote Ukrainian culture and keep the Ukrainian word going. And by doing this, letting them know that we're with them, doing what we can in our own capacities, but definitely supporting and co-suffering.
Thank you.
But also being super lucky that we're here, that we're not there.
That's true. And by chance, you know, it could be any one of us could have been born there by chance. Alex.
Yes, hi. My name is Alex Ozerov-Meyer. I'm a Canadian Russian. I came to Canada when I was 13 years old. I'm an actor. And my family's still in Ukraine. I lived both in Ukraine and Russia. So I'm in kind of an interesting conundrum here where like I have a Russian passport. My grandmother lives in Russia. You know, my family is in Ukraine. My dad, my stepsisters, my grandfather, everyone's there. So this kind of divide, you know, I'm torn between that, between like, I used to visit both countries. Like I used to speak Russian. I went to a Russian school, you know, and it's just so difficult to see all of this. Just like, it just absolutely breaks my heart. You know, like I came here at 13 years old, but like, just to imagine that I used to live there and my family's there is devastating. The other day I got a call from my aunt, from my dad. And we talked about various things about the war and everything, but she, and this is a perspective that I've never heard of before. And I didn't know that this might've been an issue here in America and Canada, that like, she's in Turkey, and she was saying, Alex, you know, are you, you're born in Ukraine, right? You're not Russian. I'm like, no, actually I was born in Ukraine, but I have a Russian passport. My mom wanted me to have a Russian passport. And she said, Alex, don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone you're Russian. Don't speak Russian. Don't do. And I'm like, Ilyana, what do you mean? What are you talking about? I've never heard such a thing. I didn't witness this discrimination. You know, like this isn't, the Russian people don't want this. They don't want this war. This is the government. This is the Russian military, you know? And this kind of fear that the Russian people are having to sort of speak their own language, I think is very devastating. And I just want people to remember and remind them that this is Putin's war. This is whatever megalomaniac's person in power, you know, and whatever is happening on the war side, the military, that's the destruction, you know, like the Russian people are suffering. Also, there's many consequences, and like I have many Russian friends who are in Ukraine. So just as a reminder, that's something like a message I wanted to sort of say to.
And over 10,000, some say 20,000 Russian soldiers died. Cynthia.
Who didn't know, who didn't know
what they were going. Did not even know where they were going. They thought they went into some kind of a maneuver exercise. Cynthia.
Yes, hi, I'm Cynthia, and I'm an actress, a writer, and a satirist. My heart is so with Ukraine. Reading these stories and listening to these stories, my heart breaks. I mean, just breaks. One of the reasons I'm so close to Sasha and close and understanding what is happening in this crazy, senseless, insane war where innocent people, babies, pregnant women are dying. There is no reason for this at all. And I feel really honored to take part in this tonight. And it's a beautiful thing that you're doing this whole day, because this needs to go out there and everyone in America has to understand what is happening there. Everyone has to give their hearts for that, really.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you for doing
Thank
this.
you. Tony.
Tony Naumovski. I am Macedonian, New York-based actor. I mean, it's really difficult to say anything, to be honest. This was really difficult to read these words, even though we are actors and that's what we do, to give any sense of truth or life to what was written by these brave people. It's really incredible. And I always remember this. I'm going to paraphrase probably. You're going to correct me. What Brecht used to say, that in the future, they will not say the times were dark, but they will ask, why were the poets silent? So we're not silent. This is a way of finding a voice and making whatever difference we could make, even not being maybe physically present there with the people who are suffering.
Yeah, that's true. One of the poets from the Nuyorican Poets Cafe said, "It's resistance in a distance." It was part of her spoken word riff, and I think there's something to it. So really, I think this is also what you did tonight. So really, thank you all for joining, taking the time, staying up so late. I know it's a holiday weekend, and Tjaša, Alex, Cynthia, Tony, and of course Sasha. We heard from you and how close this is to your heart. And I think the entire day, I can't believe we are coming to our last segment, really does show that there is a support for the arts, for the atrocities and this kind of criminal acts that have been committed, war crimes against international conventions, against war conventions, against Geneva conventions. And we all hope that these dark days will be over soon. And but if we don't speak out, nobody will. So it is important, and I think it's a very, very strong voice that we show today. We're going to go now to our next segment, and we have with us an organization. It's called Theater Without Borders. Like there is Doctors Without Borders, perhaps a little bit more famous sister or brother organization. You can still stay and say hello. And Theater Without Borders for decades also has engaged in regions of conflict, brought people together, created safe havens for theater people. And so we started with PEN America, the writers organization, and we're now going to go to Theater Without Borders. I hope they are with us, and I'm going to ask them to join us if they are here. If not, maybe we stay a little bit longer with this conversation. I don't see them yet entering. I'm sure they are still preparing. They're showing a video. Okay, I just hear they are here. So they're on video. So we are going to move over to the session. So thank you all for joining, taking your time. And they think this was an important statement. And also to Ilya Kaminsky, thank you. He wrote us and said it's okay to use the material. Congratulations also on the Paris review to put these beautiful essays together in such a short time. Thank you all. And we move over now to Theater Without Borders. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.